Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another interview on the Unstoppable Mumpreneurs Telesummit series, where you can discover the habits, strategies, and insider secrets to overcoming any obstacle and earn an amazing income doing what you love. And we have with us today an amazing expert who exemplifies all that. Her name is Vibeke Schurch. Did I say that correctly, Vibeke?
Schurch.
Schurch. I stand corrected. Vibeke Schurch, and we are honored to have you here with us tonight, Vibeke. Thank you so much for showing up.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here, and thank you so much for inviting me.
You are very welcome, and do forgive me for mispronouncing your name. Okay.
It happens all the time.
Oh, bless you. Okay. So what I will do, I'll roll into telling our listeners a bit more about you, Vibeke, and they will learn a whole lot more by the time we're done this interview today. So Vibeke equips holistic entrepreneurs such as coaches, healers, and experts with tools, resources, and mindset shifts they need to have to be and do it all. When you have tried everything and still don't get the results you want, Vibeke comes to the rescue. She'll teach you the simple steps to grow your business easily and without struggle, so you can stop talking about your dreams and step into living them. I like that. Vibeke brings 18 plus years of small business experience to her work. She's a coach, energy healer, and does deep transformational subconscious work. You can learn more about Vibeke at www.tangibilitycoach.com. Again, welcome, Vibeke. It's lovely to have you.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. All right, so we'll roll into the questions here. First one for you. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself, about your kids, about your entrepreneurial journey, and what actually got you started or inspired you to become a businesswoman?
Great. Yeah. So I think I'll start answering the last question first.
Okay.
I kind of fell into entrepreneurship sort of by accident, even though there are I don't believe there are any accidents. About a year after getting out of college. So I started on pretty early on and didn't have any children. You know, it was a pretty simple life back then. No mom. I'm a mom right now. I have two boys.
Yes.
And they're 11 and 14. So, you know, I've kind of gone through the journey of entrepreneurship, not having children, while I was pregnant, while I was having them, doing work from the hospital bed, you know, the whole shebang, all the way up to, you know, the age that they're at right now. So, you know, I definitely can relate to other moms in terms of having businesses. You know, I've had several businesses and I've also started businesses after my children were born. So it wasn't like, you know, I was all established at the time when I had the children. I started over a few times simply because I was not in alignment with doing what I really wanted to do. So yeah, it's I watched my mom actually start her own business and in her kitchen after her divorce, and took that from her kitchen to the leader in her industry. So I obviously had some good role models, but I never intended to become an entrepreneur. It wasn't like I went to college and thought, okay, when I'm done, I'm going to start my own business. That was never what I thought, but it just happened that way.
Okay. Can you tell us a bit more about the accidental start? How was it accidental, if you won't mind sharing?
Well, so my boyfriend at the time was in a company. He was working in that company, working his way up to basically, it's sort of like a franchise, but it's a franchise where you work your way up rather than pay your way in.
Okay.
And so we actually started working together in that business and then started our own business from that.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of how it happened. We moved first because of his job, and then I got involved later. So I left my job when we moved because I was doing something I didn't love, and I was totally fine leaving that. And that's kind of how I got sucked in and never went back.
Okay, got you. Okay. Now, now that we're nice and early and in our interview, I'd like to remind our listeners, if you've not already done so, if you've been following our series for a while, you know the drill. But if you're just joining us for the first time, I really strongly recommend that you show up with a notepad and a pen and take notes. There are tons of priceless nuggets shared for free, absolutely free. What you would pay hundreds and thousands for, you're getting for free in each and every one of these video series. So please take notes, because this is priceless, and you might not get this sort of information for free again. All right, lovely. So Rebecca, on to our next question there. So starting as early as you did, so pretty much all your adult life, you have been an entrepreneur, you've been in business. Yeah. So what were some of the challenges that you experienced early days, and how did you overcome them?
Great question. So I think I have to say, so the first business I just talked to you about, where it was my boyfriend and myself, he ended up becoming my husband, but we started it out. We were boyfriend girlfriends, and it was a challenge. There were several challenges. We worked very long hours. We had a lot of people working for us, and it, had huge turnover. There was a type of business that had a lot of turnover, so we had to really work hard to retain our people. We were struggling in the beginning majorly. So we came right out of college. This was about a year out of college. We didn't have any savings to fall back upon. We had a big office building or, office space that we needed to pay for every month. And we got to a place where, we had to put the rent on a credit card, but then the credit cards were maxing out. And it was like, okay, we're getting more and more in the red. We don't know what to do. My boyfriend at the time started kind of freaking out. He was panicking. I was much more calm. And I just remember thinking, this was way before I started teaching mindset, which I do today, way before I had an awareness of how this stuff works. But I remember thinking, okay, I'm okay. Everything's going to be okay. Very soon, we're going to have a lot of money. And, lo and behold, like 9 months later, we were swimming in money and literally from like rags to riches in 9 months. And at the time, I don't think I knew what I did, but now looking back, having studied mindset and how the mind works, I know that, I really trusted that everything was going to work out, and it did.
Yes, and you attracted just that. You attracted just that. Yeah, fantastic. Beautiful story. Thank you. Now, several years forward, you've since had your children, and business and life have become a part of that mix for you. What are some of the challenges that still show up for you, and how do you manage them?
Yeah, so I think the one challenge that has been a challenge for me for a very long time, it's becoming less and less of a challenge, but it's time. And I used to fight the time. I used to try to work harder, be more effective. I read probably every time management book on the planet, thinking being productive. So I did that part of it, but it wasn't until I really shifted my mindset around time that time is always working on my side. So, I think we all have the same amount of hours in the day. Some people do a lot with those hours, some people don't. And it's not necessarily about squeezing so much in or working so hard, but it's about being really smart about it. So, there's still new challenges. My children just went back to school from summer a couple weeks ago. And on day number 1, I found out they had no bus. The bus that we had for all these years was taken away, and they forgot to tell us. So now, okay, I got to drive them both in the morning and pick them both up at different times in the afternoon. So, there's always new challenges being thrown at you, no matter where you are. And so, yeah, I think time has been definitely the biggest challenge, but I'm learning to navigate it. And I think shifting my mindset around it has been the most helpful of anything. Yes, we do need to know how to use our time, spend our time. Time management is definitely important to have an understanding of. But when it boils down to it, it's really how you think about time determines whether time is on your side or not. And it's amazing when, for instance, I have a really full week and I'm like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Then all of a sudden somebody's going to call and cancel or reschedule for another time. And it like opens up. And it always happens, you know, we're so powerful and we can create that. So I love how I feel like I can manipulate time in that sense that make it work for me.
I really like what you said there. I really, really took that on board about how shifting your mindset around time can bring time on your side. And I really do believe it's something that happens to everyone, regardless of whether they're mindset aware or not. The problem is that because of their mindset, they don't see it as such. And so continue to freak out even after cancellations happened and opened up, you know, that space for them. They're still freaking out about the cancellation, missing completely the gift of time represented. Isn't that something?
Yeah, it's really beautiful if you start paying attention to it. I mean, we do create our reality, and I know that very, very well. And so whenever there's a challenge that I don't seem to be able to face, you know, the universe will give me the solution. Something will happen to solve that problem without me having to really do anything lots of times. So that's really great.
And it would be so helpful. It would be so helpful if those of us with the awareness can remember that, you know, in those pinch moments, and those of us on their journey at a different point can start to open up to that process. I think it can massively help not just our feelings, but our physical health as well. You know,
absolutely, because it makes you more calm. So one of the things I keep telling myself is I always have more than enough time to do all the things I want to do. And when I believe that, and when I say that to myself, that is the truth. But if you keep telling yourself, which I'm sure a lot of moms do, and I used to as well, that I don't have enough time, then you're not going to have enough time.
That's right. Yeah.
So shifting your mindset around it is it's the most important thing you can do.
Absolutely. That's the power of reframing. The power
Exactly.
Beautiful. Thank you. Great. So after all this time in business and working as you do now with holistic practitioners, what's the number one obstacle that you've found that gets in the way of mompreneurs, you know, achieving in their business? What's that number one obstacle that holds them back? And what advice would you offer to help them overcome that obstacle?
I think the biggest obstacle is limiting beliefs. And what I mean by limiting beliefs is we have been programmed in our society to believe in certain ways. We have been told that certain things are certain ways, and that there's certain things we can't do anything about. There's a lot of things that were just dumped into our subconscious mind as children. Beliefs about money, beliefs about time, beliefs about what we are worthy of, not worthy of having, beliefs about what's possible. And so all of these beliefs, again, it goes back to the whole thing about time. If we believe something that is disempowering to us, then we will create that disempowering reality. So we have to start shifting our beliefs first, because they really are the cause of what our life become, or our business. So again, it boils down to, you know, if you don't believe that you're worthy of being a mom and having a great income, maybe working part-time from your home, then you will not be able to do that. You will sabotage it. If you believe that, you know, your obstacles are bigger than you, that there's no way I can do this, you can do it, but I can't, well, then that's going to be your reality. So we have to really sit down and monitor and look at what we're telling ourselves, because we can sit down and argue for our limitations all day long, but what's that going to do for you?
That's right.
Oh, I can't do this. I can't do this. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough energy, right? You could argue for that forever, and that will be your life. Is that what you want? Well, if you don't want it, then start changing it. So it's really, that's, and that's a lot of the type of work that I do with my clients, is helping them make things easy, because when we do shift our beliefs, it does become easy.
Yes.
It's not a challenge. I'm not saying challenge. It's not a struggle anymore, because the universe is on our side.
Absolutely.
When we believe something, then the opportunities, everything that we need to get to where we need to go will be there. All we need to do is make a decision. And once we made that decision, the opportunities, the money, the time, the people, everything that we need will show up. But we have to understand that it starts with our inner work first before we can create those outer transformations.
Yes. I'm a firm believer of that. I really, really do believe that. Sometimes it does take a while to show up in our lives. And that can be for all sorts of reasons, all number of reasons. But, in recent years, I've reframed that myself. And I firmly believe whatever it is I need and is not yet with me is on its way. And I think we have to make space for that. And it's difficult for what we need to make their way to us when we have so much blocking it, And it's as simple as that. It's as simple as seeing it like that. But no, you've really put forward some quite challenging, and then I say challenging in a positive sense here, because I think that we need to be challenged on those beliefs that hold us back, and we need to challenge ourselves as well. And that's been one of the inspirations, as I would have shared with you when we first spoke, behind this summit for me. It's to challenge those beliefs that so many of our listeners have, and that we used to have. I definitely used to have them as well, and still do. New ones come up. They don't go away and stay away. New ones come up. But it's learning how to manage them instead of having them manage you.
Beautiful. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, great. We're on a roll here. So my next question for you, Vibeke, is, do you believe that anyone can become a holistically successful, or any mom, become a holistically successful mompreneur?
I don't. No.
Okay. Okay. I think you're the second or third emphatic no. Which is interesting. We've had different answers, but I'd love to hear what backs up your no.
Well, I think that you have to have a really strong drive and a really strong passion. Otherwise, you're going to give up too soon. I may say that I help people not struggle, but most people do struggle in the beginning phases of doing stuff. And there's a lot of stuff that happens, and it doesn't always go your way. And if you don't have that, I'm going to do it no matter what attitude, and you're going to find a way no matter what comes your way. You're going to give up. You're going to want to go to bed and put the covers over your head and turn off the light, because it can be really tough.
Yes.
It is not for, if you want to make money the easy way, go work in corporate. That's how I feel. I did have a corporate job for a short amount of time. I have to say that it was not for me. But
and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. As you said, we're not all cut out to corporate people, and we're not all cut out to be entrepreneurs, and that's okay. But I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah, and so really, that's it. Takes a lot of energy. Takes a lot of effort. Yes. And if you're not the kind of person who's going to do it no matter what, if you're going to let excuses get in the way, you're not going to make it. You're just simply not. So not everybody's cut out that way, and that's totally fine.
Yes.
That's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just, it's not for everyone.
Yeah. Okay. I think I know Jo, another one of our experts, that was also an amazing woman on this Telesummit series, and she too was very emphatic about that no. We've had other mompreneur experts who's yes and no, but in whether the answer was no, yes, or yes and no, what you have shared and other, I would say, caveats along that line came to the fore. That bit about resilience, that no matter what, that, being able to get knocked down and get up again, because it's true. It is not an easy journey. And, after the first 4 interviews, and this kept coming up at this particular juncture, I started thinking to myself, my goodness, people are going to get discouraged here. But then I thought, no. Everyone entering into entrepreneurialism needs to know the truth about it, just like knowing the truth about anything you're entering into. It is massively rewarding. And much of that reward isn't even the intrinsic reward alone, but to get there, to reap the rewards, you really, it requires a lot of elbow grease, as we say, a lot of hard work. It gets to a point where it becomes easier and easier. But yeah, it is not for, I say, the faint at heart, not dismissively, not even judgmentally, but knowing that if you're not prepared to do what it takes, it's quite okay. Give yourself permission to do what really is aligned with you.
Yeah, and I do think, though, that for those of us who are entrepreneurs, we are called to be entrepreneurs. Yeah. We feel this really strong calling. Absolutely. And nothing is going to stop us. So unless you have that calling, if you think that you can just start a business and, it's going to be so great, I'm going to make so much money, then you're much better off getting a job and work hard and get good money in that job. Because it's not like that. There's very few people who just open the doors and everything works wonderfully in the business from day one. Yes, it does happen from time to time, but it's not the norm. And unless you have that calling, but there are halfways to entrepreneurship. So network marketing, for instance, is kind of like, you have your own business, but you don't necessarily have as much of an investment. You have a whole network of people that are helping you. So that could be, a kind of like a halfway to entrepreneurship. Yes. And for many people who maybe don't have that calling, but they want more freedom and they want more leverage their income and things like that. That's a great opportunity as well for those people.
Absolutely. And make no mistake about it, we have a mompreneur on this interview series who is in multi-level marketing, and she coaches as well, and she's doing phenomenally well. And I think Ruth would be the first to say it is hard work, because she worked her socks off. I think everyone interviewed on this panel at some point in their entrepreneurial journey, very more so in the beginning, worked their socks off. So it is a message for people out there to know about, but hear the other side as well, the rewards that come with it. And I think for most of us mompreneurs, it's that time freedom with our kids, the choices that are open up. And you talk about, like a halfway. I think there is something to be said as well for moms, and I'm one of those moms who work part-time and do this work as well. Until you feel that, you're at a point, whatever that point is for you, to make that full step over. So I know that a lot of people make that leap right away, and it can be quite a leap. It can be too far a stretch, and I was one of those persons, So we've got to go with what's right for us at the end of the day. But I really connect with what you said about it's that stirring. It has to be a calling. It has to be that calling. Nothing is going to detract you from that course. I hear you.
Yeah, you have to have the why. You need to know why you are doing it. If you're doing it because of the money, forget it.
Forget it.
Else.
Yes, forget it.
It's not a reason.
Absolutely. It's going to be far more compelling than the money.
Yes.
Agreed. All right. So again, another controversial question on this Telesummit series, and this is the which do you veer more towards life work-life balance, which there's been a lot of talk about for many years now, or the blend, which is what I've been hearing a bit more about in recent times. Which do you tend to lean more towards, do you think, Vibeke?
You know, when I first had my children, it was more of a blend with my first son in the very beginning, and that was hard. That was really hard for me. So what happened to me is I got burnt out and really sick a few years ago, and I had to really look at, you know, how do I design my life in a way that really works for me, to make sure I can stay healthy and sane and be a good mom and be able to fulfill in all the areas that I need to do in my life. And so for me, balance is more, it works better. When I work, I work. When I don't work, I am focused. I'm very much into mindfulness, so I want to be present to what I'm doing. And if I'm writing an email while I'm talking to my son, you know, I'm not doing either one of those things mindfully or with the right intentions. So to me, I try to do the balance. I try to schedule my time and my work time when my children are at school, and then have time for them when they are home. That doesn't mean that every now and then I don't do any work while they're home, but it just means that that's the way I've designed my life. And because of how I've organized my business, I'm able to do that. I don't have to work that many hours. But, you know, I think people need to do what works for them. But I had a really big crisis that kind of forced me to really make things work the right way.
Isn't it interesting how, you know, when we have these dilemmas about how we should do what or what we should do, how that decision is sometimes almost made for us, you know, and illness is one of those things. I know that was a big thing for me last year. I, you know, underwent major surgery, and the shift that came about with that for me has been remarkable. And I would say the focus, and if I thought I was focused and persistent before, I tell you, it 10 times whatever it was before, because it draws things into sharp perspective. It draws into perspective what really matters, you know, and that our time here, as Steve Jobs says, and it's not that you become pretty obsessed with death, it's not that at all, it's more another flip on that. Our time here is limited, and that's not meant to scare, it's meant to focus your attention and get done what you've been put here to do. And that's how I've taken that beautiful commencement speech of his. Yeah.
That's so true. That's so true. And I think that in every challenge, there is a gift.
Absolutely.
The biggest challenges in my life has transformed me in the biggest ways. And I could never be who I am today without having gone through those challenges. And so if you're a mom who wants to start a business, or you are already in business and you're having challenges, look at, you know, what's the gift in this challenge? What can you learn? How can you become a better person? So have that belief about, you know, I don't have the money to hire someone, or I don't have the money for childcare, or I don't have the time to do this. What can you learn from that? Is that true? Right? Or is that just a story you're telling yourself?
That's right. Yes. Yeah. Yes, I like that. Where is the evidence? There is the evidence.
Well, you're creating the evidence when you believe.
That's right. Okay. So your boys are 9 and 11, you said earlier.
11 and 14.
11 and 14, I'm sorry. I have someone else's children in mind. Sorry about that. So 11 and 14. What impact has being an entrepreneur, a mompreneur, have on your boys, you think, if any?
Well, it's interesting because my oldest son has kind of started his own sort of side businesses without me even knowing about it several times over. Orders at school for certain things that he was making and selling, and you know, he had his own YouTube channel for a while with tons of followers, and I didn't even really know, like, until later. So definitely, I think in that sense, that you can create something on your own. But I think the empowerment that comes along with it, they see me, you know, I recently got divorced, and they see me making things work, and being empowered, and not living limited, you know. So I think that obviously I'm a mindset coach, so I teach a lot of mindset, and so, you know, they're learning from that part as well. But it's the idea that you don't have to fit into a mold, and you can do what you're passionate about, and you can make a lot of money doing that. And it's, you know, if my boys want something, and I say, okay, well, maybe I'll buy that when I sign on my next client or something like that. So, you know, they're very much in tune with the fact that I create my own reality. Just like my youngest son sometimes will say, you know, well, mama needs to do this because this is what, you know, keeps paying for the house and for our vacations and for everything. So it puts them in a place of seeing what's really possible.
Yes. I love that. Seeing what's really possible. And some of the other bits that came up is, in addition to yours here, seeing what's really possible for them, they can do. And it opens up that whole, you know, spectrum of choices for them. You know, they're not just limited to one or two things. There's so much out there, and enough for everyone too. Yeah, great, great. All right, so we're down to our final question now, and this is where I ask you, what is your number one habit, your number one strategy, and number one insider secret for achieving the success that you achieving and sustaining your success? And you know, how can others benefit from what you would share?
So I think in terms of the habit, I think I would say two things: self-care and daily routines. So I don't start my workday. I don't roll out of bed and start my workday. I'm very intentional about how I start my day. You know, I do yoga before I hop in the shower in the morning. I take my dog for a walk. I meditate. You know, I have a few different things that I kind of circulate and change over that I do in the mornings to really put myself in a really great frame of mind, to feel connected, to inspire myself, to really get going on the day. And I'm very careful about setting the intentions, what I want to get out of the day before I open up, you know, my email or anything else, right? Because then you get bombarded. So I put myself in a successful mindset before I walk in the door to my office. That I feel is extremely important. In terms of strategy, I think it is, you know, choosing how to spend your time and to spend your time wisely. So obviously, as an entrepreneur, there are so many things that we could be doing.
Absolutely.
It's just always a million things that take up our attention. So if we're not very clear on how we're going to spend our time, we can get sucked into all kinds of shiny objects all over the place every day. And we don't get anywhere or get anything done. So, you know, be clear on what's your brilliance. What should you be spending time on? What should you hire somebody to do? And, you know, women, come on, we need support. We cannot do it all by ourselves. I tried that. Okay, I've tried it all. Eventually, you're going to collapse. It doesn't work like that. So, you know, give yourself permission to hire somebody to clean your house, to take care of your yard if you have a yard, to hire an assistant to help you in your business, whatever you need that is not you in your area of brilliance. You outsource that. That way, it will give you the time and the space for you to do what you're good at, so you can focus on revenue generating activities, which is going to bring in the money and pay for way more than what you are already paying out, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So That's really, I think, the key. And I know that a lot of people say, well, but I can't afford to do that. That's the mindset shift that needs to happen first. Because you can't make the big money until you shift your mind around.
Yes.
So I just want to challenge everyone out there who says, because you don't need the money until you've made the decision to do it. So if you haven't made the decision, you haven't given an opportunity for the money to come.
I like that. I do like that.
So,
I do like that. Very powerful.
In terms of strategy, insider secret, well, definitely what you get, the results that you get in your life, in your business, with everything, has 95% to do with what goes on inside of you, your subconscious beliefs, your thoughts, and 5% to do with everything else. So if you are in disempowered thinking, if you have limiting beliefs, if you are walking around, arguing for your limitations, you will not get to where you want to go. Again, everything happens from the inside out. So once you understand that, all you need to do is change your thinking, and then everything else falls into place. That's really the magic, button to have to say, hey, universe, this is what I need. Send this to me. And, that's really how it works. We got to put an order out to the universe for what we want and expect to get it.
How easy? I'm going to tease a bit more out of you here with that, because I firmly believe what you've just shared there, 95% of what we experience is based on our subconscious beliefs. How easy is it for people to flip that switch, and easily employ, positive subconscious thinking or empowered thinking? How easy is that?
For some people it's very difficult. It really depends on your background. If you've grown up in some really disempowering environments and around a lot of limiting beliefs, it can be very challenging for people. Now I do some very powerful work where I can actually sit down and I can work with you, and we can shift a lot of that just in one day, boom, on a subconscious level. But if you're going to do it yourself, chances are it will take time. And even if you do it with me and we go through this, there will always be more to work on, right?
Of course.
So there's layers of an onion that you got to go through, and you change this, and then there's another layer and another and another. So I feel like it's work that we need to always be doing, and I don't think we'll ever be done. We just continue, like you said. There's just new challenges that pop up all the time. But when we become conscious of how our thoughts and beliefs create our reality, and we see that, and we notice that, and we understand that, then we become much more mindful of what we think and what we tell ourselves, right? What we speak, and that's a huge key to switch everything around. So, what I would say is it's not always easy, but it can absolutely be done. If you do it by yourself, it's much harder than if you get help. Yes.
I certainly believe that. I absolutely believe that. And I know, there are people who hear powerful pieces of what you've just shared here, Vibeke, and they say, oh, it's so woo-woo. And recently I've been giving it deep study and follow through and research. And there is so much of this woo-woo stuff that has a sound scientific connection to it. And for those people who are more scientific leaning, they really go into it. You'll see it, it's hard to conceptualize something like what you think about, you bring about. Okay, it's very easy for some people to dismiss that. But when you look at it from a very logical point of view, if we were to focus our attention all day long on what's not working, we go around with that attitude. So all the people who would have otherwise availed themselves to help us, they stay clear of us because of that heavy, dark, ladensome frown that we're wearing, which is our body language is off-putting. So we do not attract the people and in them the circumstances that would help us. So, here is my challenge, a very bold challenge, but loving challenge to anyone who thinks this is woo-woo. Then look at it from that other very logical side, and you'll see it also connects.
Yeah, and for those of you who are very scientific, I mean, scientists are proving this. It's not.
Oh yeah.
It's not something. It may have been woo-woo 100 years ago.
Yeah.
But now in today's world, we can prove how this stuff
Absolutely.
works.
Absolutely.
I don't necessarily study the science. I know from the bottom of my heart that how this stuff works because I've proven it to myself. But for those of you who are skeptical, there are lots of people. This is quantum physics. We are vibrational beings. Everything's energy, and we are putting out our thoughts are vibrating things. We can measure our thoughts. You can hook your body to a machine and see how it vibrates.
That's right.
And certain emotions, certain thoughts vibrate at a certain level.
Yes.
And vice versa if you have different ones. So if you're in a place of being in a low vibration, having feelings that are of disempowerment, then you're putting that out there. And so you're attracting more things of that nature.
Absolutely.
I understand everybody who is skeptical because I was a very logical, very grounded person. And I am. And I have always been. I'm a Taurus. I'm very down to earth. And, it took me a lot of challenges to really get to understand how it really works. But once you get it, nobody can convince you otherwise because that's how it works.
Absolutely.
And again, you can argue for your limitations and say this stuff is woo-woo, or you could say, listen, I'm open to learn and maybe I should try this. Yeah. Maybe there's something to this.
Yes.
And see what happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you there. It's a lovely, lovely, powerful statement on which to wrap up our interview. I don't want to say any more because it just resonates so powerfully. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Lovely. All right. So this is where, Vibeke, you get to tell our listeners about your free gift offer.
Yes, so I'm very excited about this. We've talked a little bit about the subconscious mind today, about how that works and how to change our thinking. Like we also talked about the challenge of that. Well, I have a Rewire Your Brain meditation. And basically what it is a meditation that helps you sort of wipe out a lot of those disempowering beliefs about time, about money, about prosperity, a lot of the things that have been ingrained in you probably since before you were even born. And to wipe those out and replace them with empowering beliefs. And it's a meditation. You can just sit down and listen to it, every day. And it will help you really shift on the subconscious level, which is very powerful because that's where all the magic happens.
Absolutely.
So you can download that meditation. Let me give you the link here. So it's a bit link. So it's bit. Period ly / rewire your brain now.
Okay.
So no www because it's a bit.ly link, just bit.ly / rewire your brain now.
Great. And that information is also going to be on your page, on your information. So it will be absolutely easy and accessible for all our listeners. And I really do hope that you get in there. If this really resonates with you strongly, or there's a little stirring there, that little stirring, don't dismiss it. It's telling you something. It's a powerful little stirring. Click on it and get that very, very valuable and generous free gift. Thank you very much for offering that to our listeners, Vibeke.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Okay, lovely. Well, on this note, we say goodbye to our listeners. I thank you for showing up here again and listening to another brilliant interview and exchange here, and all the juicy stuff, very valuable stuff that Vibeke has so generously imparted. Thank you for showing up. We'll say goodbye, Vibeke. If you stay on the line a little bit and I'd like to check in with you, that'd be great. So bye, everyone.